What's going on? Back with another episode of Broken 350Z because this thing sucks. It's not cool. So basically I'm gonna give a long story and a short story here real quick. So initially when I went to go pull the car up in the wood on the very first part of this, and the car wasn't driving, and I thought it was because of the clutch, mostly because I started seeing a little bit of smoke coming out, and I was like, brain doesn't know a lot. I'm like, that's clutch. Boom. Did the whole clutch thing, everything. Went to go drive it, car still no room. Someone commented, I can't remember because I don't have my phone with me, but whoever you were, shout out to you, but I wish I saw that before I had actually done everything. Someone said, well, what it sounds like an axle problem, and at first I was like, no, my axles are probably fine, you know. But I remembered there was one that always looked ripped, and then I did that video on the axle being ripped, and it comes to find out the passenger side, which one was never ripped or anything, and it looked perfectly fine. It actually, because I pulled more camber, it pulled it out of the diff, so nothing was spinning. So the whole time that problem was because of the axle. So I replaced both the axles. I got axle spacers from G-Tech or GK Tech, whatever. They were cheap, 10mm spacers. Slipped them on like the backside of the axle before like the spline thing goes in, whatever. But so then car drives, right? But then I started seeing that little bit of smoke come from the engine bay, and I'm like, what the heck is this now? And then after actually smelling it, I'm like, it smells nothing like clutch. This was the first problem. And then I realized a couple weeks ago, going to a car meet, someone was like, yo, you're burning mad oil. I'm like, whatever, DE, VQ, you know, gang, whatever. But no, come to find out, I'll see if I can show you, it's so deep. But I wiped up right there, so you might be able to see. I'll see if I can zoom in a bit. But my valve cover and gaskets were completely coated in oil. That's where I wiped up, because you're supposed to be able to see that shiny part. I got a burrito in my throat. But where that shiny thing is, that's like a kind of like a serial number thing that's on both sides on the valve covers, and that's kind of an indicator to be able to tell if it's covered, which especially up here in the front, which I don't know how well you'll be able to see, but see, it's pretty coated with oil and whatnot. So that was dripping onto the heat shield and then kind of smoking up a little bit. So long story short, problem was just the axle and the valve covers, nothing to do with the clutch. But like I said, when we did get the clutch out, you could see that it needed to be replaced anyways, and plus I learned a lot, so nothing to be mad about from there. But yeah, so that was a problem. And then I drove the car a little bit because I was like, oh, I still want to, you know, take it around the block, whatever. I was hearing a gnarly kind of clunking noise in the front, not like a normal one. So I got out and I saw someone turn the wheel, and I was looking under there, and the springs in the front, the new Swift springs I just put in, the inner diameter was bigger than my old ones, which I didn't think would be a big deal because there's quite a bit of room in between the spring and the knuckle. But no, that is a problem because it's actually hitting the knuckle, so when I try and turn, it like pushes everything, all bad. So I just ordered some 326 springs because they have those in a smaller inner diameter, because Swift, I think the smallest one you could get was a 65, which the stock ones are 62, and 326 only makes them into 63, which is what I used to run on this, and it would kind of hit, but not that bad. So I just ordered the 63s. They'll probably be here in a couple weeks, but either way, I'm probably gonna take, which I think I threw them up here, I'm probably gonna take those ones, which were my stock ones from the back. Oh, I just totally knocked some stuff over. Whoopsies. Those were the stock ones on the back. I might throw those on the front just so that way I can actually drive the car once I finish the valve covers and the gaskets and whatnot, because I really want to drive the car and I miss driving the car. But yeah, so it's probably gonna take a bit to get the 326 ones, sadly. And I don't want to just shave the Swift ones. I'd rather just pull them out, sell them. They're basically brand new. It's driven less than half a mile on them, so we'll do that. But anyways, this episode is gonna be the start of doing the valve covers. These cars kind of suck because, like I showed you on Nissans, I mean, they do be down there under everything. So basically, I already took off the crossbar, took off the plastic cover here, disconnect the negative side of the battery, so that way once everything's done, your ECU is not going to reset, it's not going to think anything ever happened. But for this video, all I'm probably going to get to is got to take the intake off. I probably will try and leave the throttle body on there, but I've heard it's easier if you take it off. I just don't want to deal with that, so I'm probably going to go OCD and want to clean it or get a new one. I don't know. But then I'm going to take off the top plenum, which there is a sequence to do that in on the bolts. There's 18 10mm, and some of them are different sizes, so I'll insert in a little picture somewhere here with the order from the Haynes manual. So to take it off, you're gonna go 18 backwards. So do your 18, which I think is like this one, and then like 17, I don't remember, I'll have to look at the diagram again, but do that in the order. Top plenum will come off, and then I think from there we got to get the wiring harness a little bit out of the way, take these off, whatnot. Got to get that bracket off, some stuff behind it, all these miscellaneous like hoses that go into here, which some of them might be a little hard to get off. We'll see what we can get to. I'm gonna kind of just start taking stuff off and disconnecting sensors and whatnot, and then we'll see where we get. I'll try and film a decent amount, but this isn't really gonna be a tutorial. This is gonna be kind of more of a skipping around, get the stuff in, because I have to wait till tomorrow when the covers and gaskets actually get here. And then hopefully this thing will be back on the road and driving here soon. Probably, I don't know with those other springs how the front will, they're pretty soft. Those are 12Ks. I love the way that the 34 or whatever it is, it's on this, how it feels, but you can't turn. So it's not worth it. I don't want to have to shave my knuckle or do anything sketchy. So we're gonna do this the right way and get this thing going. So let's get into it. Update into day 2. Hunter Scott Ford back at it again, helping because he's a sweetheart. As I kind of said, this isn't not gonna really be a tutorial or anything, kind of just jump forward, but this stuff is all kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say self-explanatory, but like just kind of take off stuff and in a way figure it out, right, Hunter? Yeah. I got the lower plenum off. I went and bought some of the lacquer, however you say it, whatever, to clean that up, and then I'll do the same to the upper plenum. Lacquer. Look at these. These things were nasty. They're gross. If the new ones are dirtier? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Nice clean, boys. Look at those. So right now we are just kind of cleaning up where they had the old seals and whatnot, and honestly, I don't think it should look this gross, but it looks pretty nasty. So I'm gonna keep wiping it up and then use the shop vac to suck out some of the stuff, and then we'll start putting this thing back together. Wow, that's cool. So swaggy lit, Hunter. So cool. Alright, so we're getting everything back in, and the hardest bolt to tighten, which we got it in, is in the very back left on the passenger side. I'll show you on the old one. It's gonna be this one back here. That one is absolutely not a beauty. Look at all that buildup. Disgusting. Absolutely gross. Cleaned up that plenum, the blower one, cleaned up the top one a bit. So we let the gasket sealer dry a little bit, and then now we're tightening everything back in. I was gonna torque them down, but decided who needs that. If they're snug, they're snug. Once that's in, then I get the coil packs back in, and then from there it's kind of just piecing all this stuff back together. And then I got the new plenum gasket. This is the old one over here, so I'll take off this piece and then the little metal or bronze looking thing and reuse that on this one. I think this is for the throttle body. It came with this stuff, but I didn't take off my throttle body because I didn't want to deal with that, so I'm just gonna save that for a different day if I ever need it. This is the old one, and this is the new one for whatever in the middle. That area is called. Hunter is in the engine bay right now. Look at him go. Absolute beauty. Getting that one tightened on there. I'd say the only hard part of this process is dealing with those couple bolts that are way back there. Everything else, I mean, it was kind of hard getting the coolant hoses off of the under like the throttle body area, just because they have been on there for 17 years, so they were definitely kind of stuck. I know they make some stuff that you could use, like a rubber spray stuff to kind of loosen it, but wasn't about to spend more money than I need to, so got them off the hard way. This is a pain right here, but other than that, everything's going pretty smoothly. So get this stuff back together and we'll check in here in a bit.